Remember that 8 kilograms newborn who made headlines? Well, 40 years later, his story is even more astounding. From tipping the scales as a newborn to shattering expectations as an adult, Kevin Clark's journey is nothing short of incredible. At Community Memorial Hospital in Toms River, New Jersey, the usual bustle of nurses and doctors filled the air. But when Patricia Clark waddled through the doors, all eyes turned to her. She looked enormous, as though she were expecting multiple babies. The waiting room buzzed with whispers, speculating if she was carrying twins or triplets. Patricia knew better. She was carrying one very large baby. "Mrs. Clark," the nurse called, her eyes widening at Patricia's size. "The doctor will see you now." As Patricia walked to the exam room, she could feel the curious stares and hear the hushed gasps. She had grown used to the attention, but it still made her feel uneasy. Dr. Johnson, a kind doctor, greeted Patricia warmly, but his expression changed as he started examining her. "Mrs. Clark, your baby is unusually large," he said. "In fact, this might be one of the biggest babies I've ever seen." Patricia felt both excited and worried. She knew her baby was big, but this big? Would everything be okay? She felt scared as Dr. Johnson explained the risks and what needed to be done. This wasn't going to be an ordinary birth, that was for sure. For the next few days, Patricia and her husband Robert were busy getting ready for their big baby. They even had to buy special clothes. Finally, on April 8, 1983, it was time. Patricia was rushed to the hospital, and the delivery room was full of doctors and nurses, all ready for the big event. After a lot of hard work, Patricia finally gave birth, but something was strange. The room was quiet, too quiet. Patricia lifted her head, trying to see what was going on. "Is everything okay?" she asked, worried. Then Dr. Johnson turned to her and said, "Mrs. Clark, you've just given birth to the biggest baby I've ever seen in my entire career." And boy, was he right. Kevin Robert Clark weighed a whopping 7.25 kilograms, almost 8 kilograms, that's over 16 pounds. He was as big as some 6-month-old babies. The nurses had to scramble to find diapers big enough to fit him. News about Kevin spread quickly. Before Patricia could even catch her breath, reporters were lining up outside her hospital room, all wanting to see the giant baby. The Clark family suddenly found themselves famous. "Mom, is it true my little brother is as big as a toddler?" Kevin's big sister Sarah asked one day. Patricia laughed, "Not quite, sweetie, but he sure is the biggest baby in the whole state." As Kevin grew, the family faced some pretty funny challenges. Regular baby clothes? No way. Kevin needed toddler sizes from day one, and don't even get them started on trying to find shoes that fit. Robert, Kevin's dad, even had to build a special crib because Kevin was too big for a regular one. But even though he was supersized, Kevin was a happy, healthy baby. He learned to crawl and walk just like other babies, amazing his doctors with how well he was doing. By the time Kevin was 1 year old, he looked like he was 3. People would stop and stare whenever the family went out. "How old is he?" Strangers would ask, their mouths hanging open in surprise. "He just turned 1, Patricia would say with a smile, watching their shocked faces. As Kevin started school, being big was both cool and not so cool. On the playground, everyone wanted him on their team because he was so tall, but sitting at a regular desk? That was a whole different story. One day, Kevin came home from school looking sad. "Mom," he asked, his lower lip quivering, "why am I so much bigger than everyone else?" Patricia's heart felt heavy as she hugged her not-so-little boy tightly. "Because you're special, sweetie," she said. "You were born to stand out, not fit in." Those words stuck with Kevin. Whenever he felt different or strange, he remembered what his mom said. By the time Kevin was a teenager, he was seriously tall. At 12 years old, he was already 1.7 meters, 5'7", tall, taller than some of his teachers. Basketball coaches were always trying to get him to join the team. "You're a natural, Kevin," Coach Thompson would say, watching Kevin dunk the ball without even jumping. "You could be a basketball star." But basketball coaches weren't the only ones interested in Kevin. He once received a letter from an NFL director, along with a teddy bear wearing a Giants jersey. The letter read, "Hey, when you're grown up, we'll offer you a job because you're so big, you can work for the Giants." However, Kevin had other plans. Sure, he liked playing basketball for fun, but what he really loved was science. He was fascinated by how bodies grow and why some people are tall while others are short. Did you know there are special parts in our bodies that control how tall we grow? Kevin would tell anyone who'd listen. Maybe that's why I'm so big. As Kevin continued to grow, life got pretty interesting. He had to duck to get through doorways, and finding clothes that fit was like trying to solve a puzzle. Cars? Forget about it. Kevin could barely squeeze into most of them. But Kevin didn't let it get him down. Instead, he learned to laugh about it. When people would ask, "How's the weather up there?" Kevin would grin and say, "It's great, but watch out, I think it's about to rain." Then he'd pretend to spit, making everyone laugh. High school was a mix of good and not so good times for Kevin. Some kids were mean to him because he was different, but with his big heart and funny jokes, Kevin soon became one of the most popular kids in school. When it came time to decide what to do after high school, Kevin surprised everyone. Instead of going into sports as everyone expected, he decided to join the US Air Force. It was a challenging fit, literally. But Kevin was determined to serve his country like his father before him. After his time in the Air Force, Kevin took an unexpected turn and joined the police force. His tall, strong stature helped him keep the peace, but his kind heart and quick sense of humor made him great at the job. Kevin found that his height, which had often been a source of discomfort, was now an advantage in his work. Throughout his life, Kevin dealt with teasing and ridicule. Kids made fun of his huge shoes and towering body, but over time, Kevin developed a great sense of humor. He learned to respond to silly questions with jokes, brushing off any mean comments. This ability to stay strong and positive helped him both in the military and later as a police officer when things got tough. As an adult, Kevin's life settled into a happy routine. He married a loving wife who saw beyond his height and loved the gentle giant inside. To be fair, she is also 6 feet tall. They bought a house together and got a loyal pet. The only real frustration in Kevin's life was his car. No matter what he tried, he couldn't find a vehicle that comfortably fit his 6'10", 210 centimeters frame. He often joked with his wife, "One day, I'll find a car where I don't have to stick my head out of the sunroof to drive." Even though his height sometimes caused problems, Kevin didn't let it control his life. He went about his days like anyone else, though he developed a habit of ducking slightly when entering a room, even when it wasn't necessary. After hitting his head so often, he wasn't taking any chances. Now, at over 300 pounds, 130 kilograms, and 6'10", 210 centimeters tall, Kevin still stands out. With his friendly smile, he easily answers questions about his size. His police colleagues joked they didn't need a ladder when Kevin was around for high places. Kevin's life wasn't ordinary. From being a record-breaking baby to a gentle giant police officer, his humor and kindness made him popular, even if people had to look up to talk to him. Looking back, Kevin realized being different had its perks. It's not just about reaching high shelves, but about facing life's challenges with confidence. So, what do you think about Kevin's amazing story? Have you ever felt like you didn't quite fit in? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.